got the bottom piece ready for weathering. Like I mentioned in the last video, I did go in and fix this back piece down here towards the bottom, so it's correct according to my reference. Everything has been sealed with a Krylon matte finish, and now it's ready for weathering. So let me get the weathering stuff together and I'll be back and start the weathering. I'm going to start with the radar dish, and I'm starting with this modelworx mud brown. I've made a real thin wash like I did with the yellow on the stabilizers. So I'm going to get this all wet. And take a little bit of this wash and start putting it on. We're focusing on trying to get everything into the grooves. And then I'll take the Q-tip here and dab it a little bit more. Alright, I'll keep doing this, and then when I get it to a point where I like it, then I'll come back. I've got the dish just about where I want it with that mud brown. I also went ahead and did the same process over a lot of the light areas here on the bottom. It's kind of a rust and dirt effect. So I'm going to let these pieces dry, and then I'll come back and I'll put another color of wash on. And now I'm going to do a wash doing this modelworx with a German gray. So I have it all set up. Get some water in these recesses first. These little grid patterns are already kind of dark, but I want to accent them just a little bit more. And take my wash, just drop it into the water there. Pump those up a little bit more. And these little antennae here are actually quite a bit darker than the rest of the detail on this dish. So get covered with some water and then start dropping this German gray in here. Like that. So I will work on this and the rest of the bottom, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I finished up with the German gray wash here on the dish, and also on the bottom. I'm liking where it's at. So I'm going to let this continue to dry, and then once it's dry, I'll come back with some pastels and do a little bit more work on it. I have some cheap pastels here, and that's what I'm going to use. I've got a really crappy brush, but it'll work for what I need it to do. So all I do is I'll just take the brush and I'll scrape it over the pastel, and then I'll just come in and I'll start hitting some areas just to kind of darken them up a little bit. So with the washes you get liquids. Since it's a wash, it's liquid. So like oil drips or whatever it is, that's how you get that effect. And then when you need like soot marks and stuff like that with more of a fade to it, then you want to use pastels. So that way you'll get a smoother transition. So I'll work on these and the bottom, and then I'll come back when I get done. I'm to a stopping point here on the weathering. There are still there's some scratches and stuff that are in certain areas that I'll go back and do off camera. Also need to finish up the little engine nozzle parts, and I did seal everything with this Krylon matte finish, so all the washes, all the pastels already done. So for part 7, what I'll do is I'll start doing the lighting for the engines. So that's going to do it for part 6. I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you for part 7.